All right, some thoughts on some Padres news and the game today. Padres won 2-1. I wasn't able to watch the entire game, but I watched some of it. And I think the Padres were a little bit fortunate to give up one run. Randy Vasquez on the mound today, but they were going up against Bailey Falter. Now, he went 7 innings and 1 earned run, but Bailey Falter is someone that I was expecting the Padres to do better off of offensively, but it is a little weird. Still no Merrill, no Cronenworth. Sure, there's talent in the lineup, but this game was delayed over an hour again. That's back-to-back games that it was delayed in Pittsburgh. There's like no environment. Uh, we've seen this happen to the Padres where it's not the biggest name. I think baseball fans, who Bailey Falter is, but maybe some Padres fans have never heard of this guy. Um, and this is not how he usually pitches. He usually doesn't go 7 innings and give up 1 run. So that was a little bit disappointing. But what I care about the most, obviously, is, especially right now, the health of Fernando, and he is back, and sure seems like he's good, and obviously winning the game, right? Did they score more runs than the other team today? And they did. So, taking care of business. It would be awesome to sweep tomorrow. If they don't, then they don't. It's Steven Kolek on the mound. You calling up from AAA El Paso. There hasn't been a move announced yet who would go down, but I assume that it's going to be one of the last relievers on the team, whether it be Ryan Bergert, who was recently called up. There's obviously not that fifth starter. Kolek's taking that, so it's not like they're going to send someone down there. It could be David Morgan, who hasn't pitched, but Bergert did pitch. He had the day off today, but he did pitch yesterday. Would they just send Morgan down and be like, well, we didn't end up needing him, so that's just that? But Morgan, looking at his numbers in San Antonio and, seeing some stuff on social media, it seemed like he had good velocity. So I want to at least see him pitch, but I'm also a fan of Ryan Bergert as well. So really, whoever it is, whatever. Fernando, obviously the health, so huge. He was saying to Kevin Acee, I think it was after today's game, I just read in the UT, that he thought he'd be probably out for the season after he got hit last night. And it's understandable when you see that big of a mark left, literally like that quickly after getting hit by a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. Yeah. And you immediately leave the game. Yeah, it's probably not going to be too great. So huge shout out to the Padres medical staff. I think Scott Hacker is the head guy. Ben Frazier's one of them. I assume that he's on the trip, but I think is it Ricky something, Ricky Huerta maybe. But I'm sorry if I botched their names, but I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they obviously don't have a lot of days off. They're always working on guys, and they're the team behind the team. We see the players on the field, but without those guys that I've mentioned and others that I probably just don't know of right now off the top of my head, without those guys, clubhouse guys included, all these support staff, it doesn't happen. So shout out to them. But yeah, Fernando coming back, and then obviously what happened there late in this game where he just goes and takes it. Remember, rookie year, I think those, diehard Padres fans that were watching Padres Pirates back in 2019, like I was on that Sunday, I think it was a Sunday morning, I want to say. Still wearing the blue, obviously, the blue SD. Pop up shallow outfield. I think it was Adam Frazier at second base. Tatis tags at third base and scores on a pop up to an infielder. And today, it was just as nuts, maybe more nuts because of how close. It's not like the ball got super far away from the catcher, but it did bounce, and literally Tatis, right when he saw it, he goes. In order to get to home plate there and be safe, which he barely was, you literally cannot take a half second to judge, oh, should I go or not? You just have to go. And is he going to make it 100 times out of 100 times on that? I don't think so. Watching that, I wasn't watching it live, but watching that back, I'm like, seeing how that went, I'm like, oh man. Right off the bat, some of the angles, I was like, yeah, good decision. And then it got close, and the catcher picks it up quick. And and tries to make the tag, and it was obviously pretty close. Now, the one in 2019 when he tagged up, the umpire initially called him out, and then he was ruled safe. This one, it was just safe, safe. Like the knew. So maybe he had a better angle on it or whatever. Doesn't matter. It was safe. But yeah, I mean, we should talk about what happened before that though. Like ball down the left field line, Kevin Acee wrote had no business turning into a double, but he did. Me watching that, I mean, with Fernando's speed, I think he had a little bit of business turning that into a double. Just knowing Fernando, and if he's running out of the box, which he was, then like, yeah, I'm not going to go as far to say no business, but I get Kevin's point. But super impressive using his legs. Like that's what you do, right? The IQ there and smart baseball. Knowing the situation, it's like, yeah, this may be our best shot. So I'm going to get into scoring position and I'm going to go win this game. He takes third base and there's no chance of getting him, obviously. And then obviously what happens, going third to home there. How many people in the league would be able to take home plate? That's not even maybe the right question. How many players in this league would try to do that? There's a select few that would try to do that. And Tatis is one of those. You could probably count him on one hand. So, just incredible. Incredible that he was playing today. I said last night, like, don't play today. And I know that he won this game, but I still kind of stand by that. I know I shouldn't stand by that because what we saw today. But I'm still trying to look at it from the perspective I had last night. Like last night, I think it was totally okay for me to sit there and be like, yeah, don't play. Kevin was writing in the UT about maybe, I think it was in his Padres Daily this morning, he'll be cleared to play maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after that. It was kind of just a wait and see. Yesterday, after the game, it was he felt okay, I think is what he said. Felt fine, whatever, felt good. But he's going to sleep on it. We'll see what happens. And it was the initial x-rays that were negative, but the key word there was initial. And so I wasn't fully like exhaling there until we saw Tatis's name in the lineup today. But yeah, like again, incredible work by the medical team and obviously just the freak that Tatis is. And lucky that he is a San Diego Padre, that's for sure. But yeah, that's going to be a game that we're going to remember for sure. And these games like this where you go take it, Pirates are a bad team. But did the Padres have a lot of business, if that makes sense, winning this game? Again, I didn't watch I wasn't able to watch the entire game because I was working, but uh, I think, you know, 3 hits in the entire game against the Pirates, you can make the argument that they should not have. Thankfully, the weather held up, it seemed like. I was listening on the radio and it was the 5th inning and Jesse was talking about how, yep, it's official now. So I'm like, oh crap. Because if they would have called it, again, I wasn't seeing what literally the weather was on TV, but if they would have called it there, I would have been pissed because you're playing the Pirates. And I think it was a 1-0 game at the time. And it's like, you can't bang that game. If you're the Padres, you got to be pissed if that game gets banged because it's a 1-run game. You got someone like Tatis. You've got a rise in this lineup. You've got Manny. Manny, obviously, with the homer today. Great job from him there. Like, you've got these guys. 1 run is nothing against the Pirates. And with this bullpen, the pitching staff, like, you have to play that. This could be the difference in you getting a home game, a home series in, the wild card series, or you making or missing the playoffs, or you winning the division or you're not. Like seeding could be the difference. So I'm glad that they were able to get it in because I would not have been happy if they would have banged that, after 5 innings if the weather ended up not being so great. But yeah, Tatis, man, what a freaking athlete that guy is. Brandon Lockridge, shout out to him in center field with that throw that he made to gun the runner down at home. Got to mention that. I mean, it was like bang, bang. So, like, that was perfect. Campy was called up today before the game. Connor Joe sent down. I don't have an issue with this. I think if you're the Padres, you want your best offense possible. And is Campy going to be catching all the time? No. He'll be DHing. They're not going to put him behind the plate over Diaz or Maldonado. I wouldn't expect. That just doesn't make a lot of sense. And, his numbers in the minor leagues, 25 games, he had a OPS of 1043. I know it's El Paso, but when he's been in the big leagues before, he's shown potential. He has the power, and you don't have to burden him with thinking about the catching side of things. And if he can just focus on the hitting, maybe this is where the Padres can get the Campy that they wanted offensively this whole time. I'm crossing my fingers on that. But yeah, like you want your best offense, you bring Campy up. No idea what the catching situation is going to look like now because Sullivan's not even in AAA with the Padres. So, but it's the AAA Padres, like whatever. Um, I would expect Campy to like catch bullpens and stuff and still have some reps there. But yeah, he's not going to be catching. Doesn't make sense. Bring him up for the bat. You're trying to win baseball games, best lineup possible, and Campy is that over Connor, or at least just a bat in general. Obviously, over someone like Connor Joe, who wasn't even playing that much, right? So totally fine with that. I don't think we should say and go that far of saying that the Padres are giving up Campy as a catcher just because he's coming up as DHing and not catching. But like at the same time, I think you got to understand again, like you're trying to win baseball games here, so Campy is the best option when he's raking in El Paso, and you don't want Gavin Sheets DHing every day. You'd like to have him be that lefty DH, and you can have Campy be the righty DH, and you have power options both sides. You have the advantage, and you can have Campy pinch hit against a lefty, let's say, if Gavin Sheets is up, or when Campy starts and a righty's up at the plate or righty's on the mound, excuse me, you can have Sheets or Sheetsy as Schultz, as a Schultzy likes to say, or Schulty. I'm getting these nicknames a little mixed up here, but yeah, you can have Gavin Sheets when he starts, have Campy pinch hit for him in certain spots, and then same thing the other way. So yeah, totally fine with it. Connor Joe can be a fine triple. He's your AAA guy. That's one of those fine AAA players. I was questioning if they bring Eggy up over Campy if they wanted Campy to just keep catching, but again, if you want your best lineup out there and you want more slug opportunities in this lineup, I'm not saying Eggy can't do that. I just think Campy's probably the better option, at least at the moment. You just try see what he can do, and you go from there. Um, some rehab updates. I was listening to, this was during the rain delay, that Crony he was playing second base today in the Arizona Complex League. He went 1 for 3, but really what I care about was that he was playing the field, and it seems like he came out of it feeling good. And so that's what I care about. I don't care about the results. Jackson Merrill playing in San Antonio. He is on a rehab assignment, and I think he walked in his first at bat. Let me see if I can see exactly what he did today. I assume that game is finished and it's final. What is today? May 3rd? Yeah, they won today against Corpus Christi. I assume Merrill played center. Yeah, he played center and he batted second. He went 2 for 3, scored a run, walked once. So, yeah. And I assume the people of San Antonio are going to be getting a kick out of being able to see Jackson Merrill again. They saw him as a minor leaguer, and now they get to see him as a big leaguer rehabbing. That's pretty cool. Darvish, when he rehabs, I assume for a couple starts, we'll see if it's like Elsinore or it's El Paso or San Antonio. I guess Fort Wayne if the schedule aligns, but I assume it would be Elsinore. But that's just a total guess. I haven't even looked at the schedule because we don't have nailed down dates of Darvish. But Lockridge back, Merrill expected back against the Yankees, Crony against the Rockies. And so I would think that Crony's going to be doing this Arizona Complex League through the weekend and then go on a rehab assignment somewhere. Um, especially since the team's on the road. If the team was at home, maybe he'd go back home and then get some like live at bats, have medical staff see him, all that. But teams on the road, just stay out in Arizona where there's Padres staff there in Peoria. So that makes sense. Anything else for me to cover? I don't think so. Tatis now hitting 342 with a 1012 OPS. And he's being smarter. Kevin Acee wrote in his Padres Daily about it was a quote from Tatis actually, about him, how when he debuted, like his first few years in the big leagues, he wanted to run a lot. And because he wanted to like prove how much of an impact he could provide for the Padres. He says, when I was younger, I needed to show that I was ready to impact the game every single time. I was a young guy. I just needed to be active to show how electric I can be and I could be in the future. But now we go steps at a time. You do what the game is asking you to do because we have different goals now, which was, it was interesting a couple ways. I love the quote because of the maturity, like realizing they need me on the field. They need me in the batter's box. They need me in right field. Me stealing bases takes a toll on my body. So don't do it unless it's going to help the team win games. Don't just do it to do it. Do it in the right situations. As we saw tonight, taking third base. Yeah, totally the right situation. Taking home. Those are the right situations. So he started off stealing a lot of bases, but those were in the right situations. So no, don't expect 40-40 from him. If it happens, like he said in that article, it would be because it's in the right situation, which would be a wild situation to have that many right situations to be stealing bases there. But yeah, the first way, again, the maturity. The other way that I looked at it, though, was him saying, you do what the game is asking you to do because we have different goals now. And I'm like, so 2019, you weren't trying to win games. You were trying to just show off what you could do. Now, if you're Tatis, you're trying to stick at the big league level. You're trying to play every day. So I guess I get that a little bit. And if we're being honest, the Padres in 2019, obviously, were not ever thought of as being a postseason contender, obviously. But just as a competitor myself, I feel like my goal, regardless of what team I was on, would be to win and not just to do it to do it. But I don't want to make this seem like I'm totally bashing Tatis. That's just a thought that popped into my head. But really, the main thought here is like good for him that he has matured and that I'm not talking about off the field stuff, but on the field, and he's matured off too, but like on the field, doing it with a purpose and doing it to help the team win. And that's great. So that's what I've got here tonight. Any comments, please leave them in the comments on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast platforms, you can go on YouTube and put your comments in there, or you can at me on social media. But thank you so much for the time and have a great rest of your night. With my schedule, Sunday, tomorrow for the series finale, I don't think I'll be able to do a show on Sunday, but hopefully I would do it on Monday then.